And there was a couple of things I did and I didn't record it. I wish I recorded it. Is when there's hordes of people around, there's just hordes of them. And there was this line. And it wasn't like a single file line. It was like you would see in one of those Civil War movies. Let me tell you, it sucked horribly. I noticed that I had held him strongly so that way he wouldn't fall. It's when I have to take my foot and put it on the fucking ground to stop me. Now I have 5 seconds to do something or I'm going to lose my fucking board. What's going on, Porch Stooges? So this one's gonna be different. I guess there's kind of a pattern here where I talk about the 3 days chase and then I talk about something else. Look, I gotta give you something that isn't the same shit. I already did that for October when it came to the demon store. And it was like one right after the other, and I don't know. Maybe that's entertaining for some people, but a wider variety is called for. So today we're gonna go with something a little smaller, save myself some time and some storage on my phone. And I want to call this, I don't even know what to call it yet. They're just cool ass longboarding videos or story times. My goodness, I was just looking at me doing some tricks on my longboard. That's why I said videos. So let's just jump straight into it. Wow, it's a bit chilly actually. I'm gonna put on some gloves or something here in a minute. You know the drill, don't be a dyke, leave a comment, leave a like, and my throat is, there's something wrong with it. And let's get straight into this motherfucker. I thought an evening set vibe would be a bit different from what I usually do. You know, it might be a bit cozy. That's kind of chilly. Gonna BRB. Okay, we're back now. I got some gloves and a little bit of a jacket. Nothing special, just something to help me feel better out here. Now, we don't have any story in particular, except for just a couple of short stories, but there was one thing I did want to talk about when I was on my vacation to Cali. Now, for some of y'all who know, I have made vlogs in the past. I called them my vlog blogs because it's in this category, a blog, and I didn't want to just make a new one and it's a whole thing. But they were vlogs, not blog, and I had it backwards and whatever, so I just called it vlog blog. Why not? Those were my very last vlog blogs that I made. It was supposed to end on that vacation. And there was a couple of things I did and I didn't record it. I wish I recorded it. So instead, I'm gonna talk about it. Now, for one of the very first, we were in Santa Monica Pier, LA, and I did a little bit of a video of me skateboarding, but it was really about this walking stick, and I wanted to use it like it was one of those canoes you would see with the guy that's pedaling, but he's standing up, like you'd see it like in Italy or whatever. And I wanted to know if this was a thing that you could do. I was on my electric board, but it was off. So I was just using it like a regular manual board with a stick. And maybe, just maybe, this idea could take off into some kind of business. Let me tell you, it sucked horribly. That's all I'm gonna say. If you wanna see for yourself how bad it really looked, I may or may not have a clip right here. Depends on if I can download that video. I saw one of these at the store and I had an idea. You know those paddle boards? I wonder if it would apply to here. Find a place that doesn't have very much sand. Pretty well, but the stopping effect I'll have to work on. But it was fascinatingly horrible. That's what I'm gonna call it. Aside from that, afterwards I went off camera, of course, and I went and actually boarded. Now, one of the things that I really like about boarding is when there's hordes of people around. There's just hordes of them, and it's my respectable citizen job to avoid crashing into them. What gets my adrenaline going is zooming at high speeds past crowds of people. And the Santa Monica Pier and that little walkway underneath it satisfied that so well. I was just zooming, going past, boom, 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 dodging. There were some people on this side and some people on this side treating it like it's a road, walking their dog or doing whatever, and I was just boom, 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 boom. Some people on bikes couldn't even keep up with me because my board was at full. I had seen this guy, maybe actually, I think I saw him the second time after. Not before, not first I saw him and this happened, but it was once more after this. So I was going across, I don't know what that guy's problem is. He just donated around, kind of. Did a U-turn. I went under the bridge once, and I came back, and what I remember doing was I was zooming past all these people, and there was this line. And it wasn't like a single file line. It was like you would see in one of those Civil War movies where all the British would stand right side by side and all at the same time, and you're fucked! And they didn't look like they were wanting to get out of the way. You know how some crowds, they'd like move if they see someone coming at a high speed, an alarming fucking speed? These guys didn't care. And to add insult to injury, there were people behind them too. They were like playing Red Rover with me, and I was like, okay, this is where I have to stop. So I was skirting my board, but I was going so fast, I pressed the brake all the way, and it still wouldn't, it just slow a little bit, you know? Put some overhead light on so that way I'm not leaning into the out view of the light that's from the sunlight, from the sunset going on here. Anyway, I was trying to stop and it would only slow down. I had to do my plan B. My plan B I always hate, especially at high speeds, but it's for the most immediate danger. Let me tell you what plan B is, okay? It's when I have to take my foot and put it on the fucking ground to stop me. It can risk me falling. That's why I don't like plan. Also, because, you know, I like high speeds. There I am trying to stop my board, stomping on the ground. And this guy just keeps walking, and he's right face to face with me, and I fly off of my board, and he almost tumbles down, so I have to grab him. And I just taken a puff on my vape, because I vape while I board. I just like doing that. And I'm standing on his toes, everything is offensive, we're so close together, it looks like we're gonna smooch, it's awkward as fuck, and I'm trying to hold this vape in, I'm going, sorry man, you okay? That way I'm not blowing it in his face. But he like noticed that I had held him strongly, so that way he wouldn't fall. We would both not tumble over and just make a complete scene here. And he goes with his face all the way back here, because my face is like right up to his. And he's going, yep, we're cool, man. We're cool. And I thought, because it was him and it was all of his friends, and I was new here, I didn't know who to trust, I thought I was gonna get jumped. But I guess his friends also saw my consideration and how I kept him from falling, that it wasn't a fight. He just said, yep, that's fine, and have a good day. And I was like, oh god, fuck yeah. So as soon as we had like a little bit of distance between each other, and he was okay and he didn't fall, and I was able to like let go of him from falling, I blew all of my fucking vape smoke out of my lungs. I was like, poof. Now, the second time I saw him was when I circled back, and I really wanted to avoid him personally, because he'd remember me after that. And I sure as shit remembered him. And he just waves, and I wave at him, and everything's fine, it's neighborly. And that was the last time I saw him, and I kept boarding around and not learning my lesson, but fuck it, man, I got a story here. The other one was also on my vacation to Cali, and this one took place in San Francisco. We were at Pier 54, and we, I think it was right before we decided to go on a boat. Look at this. The idea for that day was go on a boat ride to go to Fort Knox, but the boat that goes to Fort Knox or is it Fort Knox? Maybe it was whatever prison that Al Capone had stayed at. And there's a tour about it, it's a whole shebang, but that boat was not going on that exact day. Now, we could have just waited a day, but we were already here, and we have, so much time on our vacation. And the next day, we actually went and stopped into a new city, so we took what we could get, pretty much. I still liked the boat ride. It was more of a tugboat than anything, but yeah, it was fine. I stood up the entire time. Some people, held on to railing and shit. I was just standing there. I liked it. There's a picture of me on the boat right here with the San Francisco bridge underneath, or behind me. Right there. So, I was on my board, and I was boarding around, and I had made a little bit of an entrance video on my vlog blog on that day. But what I really wanted to do at the time, and I still didn't record this, unfortunately, was go zooming around on my electric board. Okay, I once again did it, and I went a couple of times tumbling around and fumbling through traffic. There wasn't a whole bunch of large crowds for me to zoom past, but it was fine because the traffic was nice, and I actually was able to track down which streets were smoother for me to board on, because if you haven't been boarding around, you probably don't know that not smooth streets will decrease your speed, and I don't like that. Plus, it feels weird on my feet. So, I chose the smoother roads to go travel on more often. And there's a lot I could tell you about this. There was heavy traffic. There was shit going left and right. There was this one guy that went, and there was a line of cars this way, but he was turning into a parking lot, and he held up some traffic for me. And I really didn't want to stop and slow down because there was another line of cars coming my way, and I was kind of like trying to inch myself a little closer, but since he did that left turn, I turned right with him, and I matched speed. That's what I call it, matched his speed, and waited for him to go on the other side. So I went on the sidewalk and I did whatever and blah blah blah. He was in the parking lot, everything was fine, no collisions, right? But because he did that, he kind of made my day there. And another thing that made my day was the fact that my board didn't get split. Here's what happened. So there was a trolley coming my direction while I was gonna board into past the trolley, okay? The opposite direction. And when I went to go turn into the thing, like the trolley driver even knew. He was looking right at me, shaking his head. He's going, don't do it. I don't want this to be a problem. Don't do it. And I'm looking at him, I'm going, I'm gonna do it, yeah, it's gonna happen. Like Lightning McQueen's just driving right past that train right before. I could hear the horn, we'll hear him like honking. He probably didn't actually have a horn on his trolley, but I can imagine this, right? And the trolley is gonna come up to one of its stops, like a bus stop, like where you would go find the trolley, get on, and go around and do trolley shit. And this isn't one of those where it's a bus trolley. This is a railroad trolley. So I have to go over these little iron biscuits. And I go boom over the first one. And my back tire kind of a little bit. But then I go over the next one. Tire. I mean wheel. My front wheel was just perfectly fine. My back wheel. Nope. Now I have 5 seconds to do something or I'm going to lose my fucking board. In those 5 seconds, I took 2 of those seconds flying off of my board and trying to catch my momentum instead of falling all the way on my face. In the next 2 seconds, this is 4 seconds in, I looked at the trolley and I looked at my board and I had ran as fast as I could to the fucking board. And during the last fucking second, the trolley was right here, right where my nose is, and I picked the board up and I fucking yank it away. Goes over to the stops, the trolley stop, right? Because it was like, I don't know, 4 feet away from where I was. And I just look at it and I'm in shock. And there's a whole crowd of people looking at me, and they're like, wow, did I really just see this guy that he almost died, number 1, and he almost lost his board, number 2. And I wasn't aware of this until I turned around, but I just celebrated right there in the midday, you know? I was like, yes! What would have hurt worse is losing my board and not doing anything. I would have been fine getting hit by a trolley going about 6 miles an hour, because I probably would have went out, done something, dodge out of the way. But if I were to lose my board, it would have just sucked for me. And that was the only skateboard I brought. As soon as I was done celebrating, I went and I turned around and looked at the crowd of people just gawking at me in the situation that I was almost gotten into. And I put my board on the ground. I went to go and just gun it and keep going, because I don't learn my lesson. And the crowd of people I could see in the peripheral of my vision, they kind of just went about their day and like it didn't even happen. It was amazing. It was really good. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed those 2 quick videos about boarding, and it's starting to get chillier. My fingers are cold and I'm shivering, if you can't tell by me trying to hold the camera as steady as I can. So hope you enjoyed. Catch you in the next one. Jaka.